So here I am with Stephen,
Yawning after a hard day's work.
who came back from France yesterday and has done a hard day's work helping me with various things. So you've been a member of the One Garden group for
For
quite a few months,
about 4 months now, I think.
and during that time you've also made quite a few trips abroad, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering what you like about the group, why you bothered to come back a second and third time.
Oh, I love the lunch. We always have a great lunch afterwards.
Everyone has a good curry afterwards.
Yes, yes. Well, when I was batching, it meant I didn't have to cook dinner that night as well.
Right.
Very useful.
Yeah. It
No,
is.
I like the openness of the people. I like the willingness to discuss. I guess you'd call it important stuff. I find in everyday life that we don't talk about spiritual or important matters very much. People tend, well, I get very bored when I hear people talk about football results or the weather or complaints. I hear a lot of complaints from people complaining about the weather, or the buses are late, or the government did or did not do this properly, or why do these fools vote Brexit? And we spend our life listening to complaints. And I like the fact that people in One Garden are open to talking about much more important information, much more important stuff, like who am I and where am I going, what am I doing here?
Yeah, the good old questions
The important questions.
that Greeks set up for us. And,
those very, very wise Greeks, 2,000 years BC.
And we eventually come to in our lives. Sometimes because we get a kick up the pants through illness or some sorrow in our lives, if we don't make a positive attempt, I suppose, to dive more deeply of our own will. Yeah. So
it's the classic, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Yeah. So what other interesting way stations have there been on your life journey? You were born in Newcastle, Australia.
Australia, yeah, a long time ago, 63 years ago.
Yeah.
I've travelled a lot. I couldn't tell you how many countries, 70, 80, perhaps 90, I don't know. Many of them, lots of return journeys. I have lived for about 25 years of my life in various parts of Asia, and I've become exposed to a lot of Asian cultural beliefs and religious beliefs and spiritual beliefs. And I've developed a fascination for Confucianism and more recently Taoism. And I believe that it's very powerful stuff. The documents and ideas that are probably 10,000 or more years old are still relevant nowadays.
And do you enjoy finding that the central truths of those traditions are also at the heart of other traditions?
Absolutely, yeah. When you get down to it, there are an awful lot of similarities and parallels between a range of religions. One of the things that always fascinated me when I've met and worked with lots of Jewish people and lots of Arabs, and traditional for how many hundreds of years they don't get on, and yet they're like brothers. They're like twin brothers. They come from the same tree trunk,
The same stock.
and yet for some reason they're convinced that the other side is not
The devil incarnate.
The devil incarnate, not worth living with, or not worth allowing to live.
Yes.
And so that in itself is fascinating. Why is it that these groups who are so similar don't get on? And often I came to discover very quickly in life that if there's something about somebody else I resent, it's probably something within me that they are providing a mirror for. So if I'm angry with another person, it's because I'm angry about something within me. And that's been a very useful insight.
What do you think about the idea that it's only in a humble stance towards a mystery that we can be united? Because as soon as we bring words into it, and worse still, as soon as we bring theology into it, differences are so legion that we will never arrive at a place of unity.
I'm a writer. I've written 28 books. I have some facility with language, written language. I stumble when I talk, but with written language I have certain skills. And one of the reasons I have difficulty with verbal language is that and also written, is it's so easy for misinterpretation. What I say and what I meant is not what the other person hears or sees. That life is perpetually fascinating, trying to decipher the message that went from me to the other person, and what I meant is not what they hear. So this language stuff is treacherous, and that's one of the fascinating things about human beings, and also why I think body learning and expressing things through non-verbal communication is often much more powerful than trying to use words, verbal communication, because of the dangers of verbal communication.
And perhaps, would you say, better expresses the non-dual state, the state that's beyond language and concepts?
Yeah.
Is it a language that's nearer to transcendence and non-duality, dance and so on?
That's a massive question. I can only relate it to personal experience, and my personal experience is that I get myself into all sorts of trouble when I use words, verbal words. I confuse myself, I confuse other people. The chatter in my brain is never ending. But if I can find circumstances where I am relaxed and the chatter in my brain stops, I'm a happier and more fulfilled person. How do I get to that point? It's something physical. It could be walking in by the ocean, listening to the sound of the waves. It could be enjoying a bottle of wine in a sunny garden. It could be through meditation. It could be through sex. It could be through contemplation of nature. All of these things somehow take me out of the chatter state and bring me somehow from this area of my body more down to the heart area of my body, for want of a better word. And I know that my life is better when I work, when I operate that way.
Do you deliberately try and balance those two now?
Increasingly, yeah, but of course I have spent too much of my life from my eyebrows up. It's the danger of having been an academic for a while.
I think that's a great place to stop, and we'll start from the eyebrows up and what lies below next time. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.